Welcome back to the Leventhal Report. I'm Rick Leventhal. Let's dive deeper into President Trump's immigration crackdown and what it means for illegal immigrants in this country. Trump's executive orders allow ICE to carry out raids in schools, hospitals, and churches, but sanctuary cities are playing defense, distributing flyers and cards to educate immigrants on how they can protect themselves, like in Los Angeles, where schools are handing out Know Your Rights cards to immigrant families. So what options do illegals have, and how are they coping with the increased enforcement? Joining me now is Michael Wilds, immigration lawyer for Melania Trump and family, a former federal prosecutor, and the mayor of Englewood, New Jersey, right across the river from New York City. Michael, welcome to the show. Can people?
Long time. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good to see you. I know, it has been. Can people get in trouble for aiding an illegal migrant, either knowingly or unknowingly?
That's a big issue right now that we've had in our law practice. I'm actually a second-generation immigration lawyer. You should know my dad started our practice. He was John Lennon's immigration lawyer when they were trying to deport the Beatle at the time in the 70s. And my son is in the firm. And the number one issue that we have is that something bad can go and become worse, that the employer that's trying to help somebody, despite the Christian intentions and the good intentions that they have, could actually end up making something worse by participating and facilitating. So you kind of have to understand the rules of engagement, what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. And non-citizens right now are going through some significant scrutiny and challenge. And those that cross hairs or come into their inner circle have to be smart about the way they engage with law enforcement, who are arguably concerned not only for their own welfare, but to make sure that they make proper papers for the courts.
Well, the new press secretary at the White House made it very clear that just coming into this country illegally, you're breaking a crime, breaking a law, and you're already a criminal. But then some of them have committed far worse crimes. And yet, we have education administrators speaking out across the country. They're saying they'll defy the president by not allowing ICE in schools. And we also have hospital staff saying they'll demand ICE agents have warrants if they approach a hospital. First and foremost, do feds need a warrant to carry out these arrests?
So let me correct it if I can. A person who enters the United States unlawfully commits a crime at that moment. But the continued presence in America is not a criminal act. It's actually punishable in a civil remedy, as deportation or removal is civil in nature. To answer your question, warrants are required under the Constitution to make sure that people have the right to go into somebody's home, workplace, and make inquiries. If they don't have warrants, you don't have to let them in. Now, there were rules within 100 miles of borders where there was a greater allowance for agents, and the president's most recent executive order expanded on the right. If a person came in within the last 2 years, you have to have your documents. If you don't have your documents with you, they can detain you or put you into proceedings, and they're going to expeditedly remove individuals in that shape. Now, I want to just
Are you telling me, Michael, hold on. Michael, real quick, are you telling me that even if a person is in this country illegally and they committed a crime, they're not legal citizens, they're criminals, you still need a warrant to go and grab them?
Yeah, because it's not punishable by criminal laws.
Well, if they committed a crime, if they're rapists or murderers, or if they rob people or assaulted people or dealt drugs.
If you committed a criminal act, kidnapping, rape, murder, any of those heinous things, then you'll be punished for your crime, incarcerated, and then civilly you'll then be deported from the United States. We're talking about individuals, non-citizens who came into America. That criminal act of crossing the border is then the only criminal act that they ever occurred. They're not criminals just because they made that commission of crime.
I understand that point. I do. I want to ask you about something else. The Trump administration has revoked the temporary protected status to almost 600,000 Venezuelans in the U.S., making them subject to deportation. TPS designation gives people legal authority to be in and work in the country, as you know, but doesn't provide a long-term path to citizenship. Will this stand up to court challenges?
This temporary protected status is also for United for Ukrainians when there were tsunamis in Japan, when there were earthquakes in Haiti, when there was all kinds of political unrest in parts of the world. It's actually an extension of biblical hospitality to those people who came here and by an act of God or man cannot go back home. I believe the president has the authority to give and to take that away. But we also have to be humane in the way we execute our immigration laws. I'd just like to share some statistics with you. There were 1,200 arrests in the first 8 days of the president's taking office. Only 52 of the 1,200 had criminal records where they had committed criminal acts independent of crossing America's borders. Now, I'm a former federal prosecutor, and the rule of law is a very noble and sacred thing in my home and in my community. But I also have to imagine that our founding parents and documents will be very embarrassed the way our immigration laws are executed if it's not done not only with due process, but in a gentle way as well. These individuals have permeated every home in America, and to make them look, feel, and talk as if they're unlawfully criminals is really poor taste. Not you, not your network, but the tone is very adversarial and is not within the calling of a home, of a safe haven that America historically has played as well.
Well, Mike, I would just respectfully add that what the president is trying to do right now is go after the worst of the worst. And what we're seeing are raids targeting criminals, drug dealers, rapists, murderers, people who don't belong here.
Why out of 1,200 people have there only been 52 people with criminal arrests? Now, I understand.
Well, I'm not sure about those numbers. I know there have been 7,200, 7,300 arrested in the first week, and my understanding is that most, if not all of them, we got to leave it there. I'm so sorry, Michael Wiles, but I do want to mention your book, Safe Haven in America, Battles to Open the Golden Door. That's Michael Wiles.